Have you ever had that moment watching a horror movie thinking, I would have definitely survived that? Well, think again. After analyzing hundreds of horror movies, I've found 8 films where survival is literally impossible, no matter how smart, strong, or prepared you are. And the most terrifying movie today, it doesn't even look like a horror movie until it's too late. And if you've ever shouted advice at characters on screen, hit the like button and subscribe, because I have a feeling you're gonna like all of my videos. So let's talk about PYEWACKET. And no, I'm not having a stroke trying to pronounce that. It's a movie where a teenager named Leah gets super mad at her mom and decides, hey, you know what would fix this? A blood ritual in the woods to summon a demon. I mean, who hasn't been there, right? It's like a typical Tuesday night. Here's the thing about summoning demons though. They don't exactly come with a return policy. Leah performs this ritual using her own blood, calls up this entity called PYEWACKET, and then immediately regrets it when she and her mom patch things up. But sorry kiddo, the demonic Uber is already en route, and there's no cancel button. What makes this movie absolutely terrifying isn't just jump scares or a creepy monster. It's the complete psychological warfare this entity wages. See, PYEWACKET doesn't just show up and kill you. No, that would be too easy. Instead, it gets inside your head and makes you destroy yourself. The demon creates illusions so perfect you can't tell what's real anymore. Imagine seeing your mom dead in the woods, but then getting a text that she's alive at home. You hear her voice calling from different places at the same time. Your friends get traumatized just by being near you. Your own senses, the only tools you have to understand reality, become weapons used against you. But wait, some of you are thinking, just reverse the ritual. Duh! Well, the movie addresses that too. Leah tries exactly that, but PYEWACKET is already 10 steps ahead. It's like playing chess against someone who can see every move you'll make before you even think of it. The entity specifically creates illusions to prevent you from completing the reversal ritual correctly. What's really messed up about this movie is how it weaponizes your own guilt and regret. When Leah realizes what she's done, her immediate remorse actually makes her more vulnerable. The demon feeds on that emotion, using it to confuse her even more. And deep down, part of her believes she deserves punishment for what she did, which is exactly what PYEWACKET exploits. And the most disturbing part, in the end, Leah becomes the instrument of her own curse. Completely unable to trust what she's seeing, she ends up killing her actual mother, thinking she's attacking the demon. The final gut punch is when she realizes the dead body she saw in the woods was just an illusion. Her real mom was alive until Leah herself became the killer. And so why is this a 0% survival scenario? Because the threat isn't something you can run from, fight, or outsmart. The moment you summon PYEWACKET, you're already doomed because the battlefield is your own mind. And that's a fight none of us are equipped to win. The entity perfectly mimics loved ones, creating conflicting information and specifically targets your mental weak points. Let's be honest, you think you're so smart with your "I would never summon a demon" attitude, but the movie shows how easy it is to cross that line in a moment of intense emotion, one heated argument, and suddenly summoning ancient evil seems like a reasonable option. I definitely had that thought once or twice when I was a kid against my parents. And don't pretend you're above it either, because we've all Googled how to put a curse on someone after they cut you off in traffic. Like, I'm not the only one here. You know you've done something similar. But you know, if alien abduction is more your style than demon summoning, wait till you see the next horror movie we're going to talk about. So, you survived the demon. Great. Now let's try something way worse. Aliens that find you when you're literally falling from the sky. Live and Let Dive from VHS Beyond is basically what happens when skydiving goes horribly wrong. This is one of my favorite short films from the VHS series. Here's why. Picture this, you're with your buddies celebrating your 30th birthday, flying up in a little plane, all excited to jump out with parachutes when suddenly, oh look, a UFO. Cool, right? No, not cool, because these aliens aren't the "take me to your leader" type. They're the "let me laze your fucking face off" type. The whole thing is filmed on a GoPro, so you feel like you're right there when everything goes to hell. First, one of these spider-looking aliens crashes into their plane. The plane literally falls apart mid-air. And if you think that's bad, just wait. One guy gets his head chopped clean off by his own parachute cords. Can you imagine? Happy birthday, Zach, here's your gift. And the gift is watching your friend get their head ripped off. What makes this so terrifying is that there's literally nowhere to run. You're in the sky. What are you gonna do? Swim away? Flap your arms really fast? And these aliens have these energy beam weapons that can slice through people like they're made of butter. 1 second you're falling, the next second you're falling in multiple pieces. The survivors, and I use that term very loosely, crash land in an orange grove. Some of you might be thinking, perfect, I'll just hide in the trees. Yeah, good luck with that. These aliens hunt them down in broad daylight. No waiting for nighttime like polite movie monsters. Nope, these guys are like suns out, guns out, and by guns, I mean face-melting laser beams. You know what's extra messed up about this scenario? It happens completely at random. These people didn't summon anything, didn't investigate a haunted house, didn't read from a cursed book. They just wanted to do some extreme sports on a birthday. That's it. Just normal people having what should have been a fun day, and boom, they're all dead by aliens. One guy actually tries to fight back by throwing an orange at an alien. An orange. At a creature that traveled across galaxies with advanced technology. I'm sure the alien was terrified. Oh no, Earth fruit, my one weakness! I bet you're thinking you do better, right? Like what? You're gonna punch the alien? With what? The arm they just vaporized? The absolute worst part is that even when one guy manages to reach a truck and tries to drive away, an alien just appears inside the vehicle with him. Game over. You can't outrun them, you can't fight them, you can't hide from them, and you can't negotiate with them. Your only purpose is to become an alien biology experiment. So next time you're planning a skydiving trip, just remember, the only thing more dangerous than falling thousands of feet towards the ground is discovering you're not the only ones up there. But hey, at least it's a quick death, unlike our next nightmare, which drags on for centuries. Forget aliens and demons for a minute. Sometimes the worst monster is just society. The Devil's Bath takes us back to Austria in the 1750s. And let me tell you, your Instagram anxiety has nothing on 18th century problems. This movie follows a young woman named Agnes who marries a guy named Wolf. Sounds like the start of a fairy tale, right? Yeah, no. Wolf is cold, doesn't touch her, and might actually be into his friend Lenz instead. Plus, Agnes has the mother-in-law from hell constantly telling her she's worthless because she can't get pregnant. I bet your Thanksgiving dinner drama doesn't seem so bad now, huh? Agnes starts feeling super sad all the time. Today, we'd call it clinical depression, but back then, they called it the Devil's Bath. Because 100 years ago, if you were a girl and you were sad, that meant you had demons inside of you. Look it up. It's actually insane what people in history did to women who were having a bad day. I grew up in a town with a mental asylum in it that was closed down by the time I was a kid. That was my dog, if you heard that. I grew up next to a town that had a mental asylum in it, but it was closed down by the time I was a kid. But there was a story of a young girl who just married her husband. She was having like mood swings when she got her period, right? And the husband just dropped her off at this mental asylum, and she was there for 80 years. That is insane that people actually did that. I don't know, history is a wild concept. Obviously, I think that is horrible. But anyways, in the movie, her mental health gets worse and worse. But here's the truly horrifying part. She can't escape. Want to divorce your crappy husband? Nope, not allowed. Want to move away and start over? Sorry, women couldn't just do that. Want to talk to a therapist? They didn't exist. Their best medical treatment was literally sewing horsehair through her neck to drain out the bad feelings. It's like trying to fix your phone by drilling a fucking hole in it. But here's where it gets really messed up. Agnes starts thinking about stopping things herself, if you catch my drift. But the Catholic Church taught that doing that was the absolute worst sin. If you died by your own hand, you'd go straight to hell forever with no chance of forgiveness. So Agnes finds an absolutely horrifying loophole that people actually used back then. She realizes if she murders someone else, she could confess, get absolution from a priest, and then be executed. Insane. She lures a local boy into the woods, ends his life, immediately confesses, and gets her wish. They chop her head off, but her soul is saved. Religion is crazy. The most disturbing part, this actually happened. Real women did this because they were so desperate to escape their lives, but they were terrified of eternal damnation. The whole system was designed as a perfect trap. Your life was miserable, ending it yourself meant hell, and the only escape required murdering an innocent person, which is just a giant lose-lose situation everywhere. You're probably thinking, I would just run away, or I'd find another solution. But that's because you're thinking with a modern brain. you have concepts like mental health, women's rights, and secular society. Back then, hell wasn't just a concept. It was as real as the chair you're sitting in. The fear of eternal torture was literally stronger than the fear of death. The movie ends with the locals collecting Agnes's blood in cups because they believed drinking an executed person's blood would cure sadness. That's right, the only treatment for depression back then was drinking someone's blood after forcing them into a situation so hopeless that murder seemed like the best option. So yeah, sometimes the scariest horror movie monster isn't a creature at all. It's just humans trapped in a system that gives them zero ways out. But if historical horror isn't your thing, wait until you see what modern religious fanatics can do with a uterus. Religious horror hits different when Sydney Sweeney is involved. And no, I don't mean it in the way that you think you do. Get your mind out of the gutter. Immaculate takes us to a beautiful Italian convent where Sister Cecilia thinks she's found her perfect holy calling. Spoiler alert, she hasn't. Poor Cecilia survived drowning once, was dead for 7 whole minutes, and thought God saved her for a special purpose. Turns out, yeah, she was right, just not in the way she hoped. Her special purpose is basically being a human incubator for some seriously messed up religious science experiments. One day, she wakes up pregnant. Virgin pregnant, like Mary pregnant. The nuns and priests are all excited, like it's a miracle. Meanwhile, Cecilia's freaked out because, you know, she didn't actually do anything to get pregnant. And trust me, getting pregnant when you didn't have sex is way more terrifying than any ghost or monster. I should know. Now, you might think, just leave, call someone, tell the police, but that's the genius of this horror setup. She's in a remote Italian countryside convent where nobody speaks her language. They've taken her phone and everyone there is in on it. When another nun tries to help her, they cut her tongue out. It's not exactly a work environment where you can file a complaint with HR, now is it? The truth gets so much worse when she learns what's actually happening. There's this creepy priest named Father Tedeschi who used to be a geneticist. He's been taking DNA from a holy nail, supposedly from Jesus' crucifixion, and using it to artificially inseminate nuns, trying to create the second coming. All those failed attempts, yeah, they become horrifically deformed fetuses kept in jars like some weird trophy collection. That's when Cecilia discovers that the old nun with cross-shaped scars on her feet was actually a previous mother in their experiments. And now they've branded Cecilia with the same marks. Nothing says you're stuck here forever quite like getting branded against your will. I love how some viewers are going to be like, well, I would just fight back. Oh, really? Against an entire convent of religious fanatics who have already been doing this for years? Who have already mutilated one person and will happily do the same to you? When you're pregnant, isolated, and literally branded? Sure, tough guy. What makes this truly a 0% survival scenario is that even if you escape the convent, which Cecilia eventually does through some pretty brutal violence, you're still carrying whatever unholy thing is growing inside of you. She literally has to give birth alone in the woods, and when she sees what comes out of her, she immediately smashes it with a rock. The most terrifying part, we never clearly see what the baby looked like or sounded like. We just know it was so horrifying that Cecilia's immediate instinct was to destroy it. Something made with genetic material that's thousands of years old after dozens of failed monstrous attempts growing inside you for 9 months? Yeah, that's not coming out as a cute little bundle of joy. So next time you're thinking about joining a remote religious order, maybe ask a few more questions about their reproductive policies. But if you think religious fanatics are scary, wait till you see what happens when ordinary people get a little too much power. So you've avoided demons, aliens, religious fanatics, and 18th century depression. Congratulations. Now let's talk about the scariest place of all, a retirement home. The rule of Jenny Penn proves that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are just old people with a little bit of power. This movie stars Geoffrey Rush and John Lithgow, which already tells you it's gonna be messed up because those guys don't sign up for happy little comedies. Well, they kinda do, but this isn't that. The story takes place in a senior's home when one resident basically becomes a dictator. And not like a fun dictator, if that exists. It's the terrifying kind that makes everyone wish they weren't around at all. What makes this scenario so scary is how realistic it is. There's no supernatural stuff, no aliens, no magic, just old people trapped in a closed system with a psycho who figured out how to game it all. It's like Lord of the Flies with walkers and arthritis medication, and shitting yourself because you're old. Think about it. If you're elderly and in a care facility, you're already super vulnerable. You might have physical limitations or maybe some memory issues. Who's gonna believe you when you say that the mean man down the hall is creating a dictatorship regime during bingo hour? Just pat your head and adjust your medication. Say, yeah, okay, grandpa. I know some of you tough guys are thinking, well, I would just call my family. Good luck with that when the dictator controls the phones, monitors visits, and has half the staff either scared or working for them. Maybe you try to escape. With what? Your bad hip and oxygen tank? The nearest town is probably miles away, and you haven't driven since Obama's first term, because guess what? You're a boomer now, which is probably the most disturbing horror part of all. I would hate being a boomer. The most disturbing part is how the dictator would maintain control, not through physical violence necessarily, but through psychological warfare, controlling food, medication, social interactions, making examples of anyone who speaks up, creating a culture of fear where residents inform on each other. It's like high school cafeteria politics, but with actual life or death stakes. And unlike most horror movies where the victims are young, strong people making dumb decisions, these victims have already survived decades of life. They've raised kids, fought in wars, built careers, only to end up powerless in their final years. That's what makes it truly haunting. All that wisdom and experience, and they still can't escape. The director literally described it as the rise of a dictator in the least likely of places. That's what makes it so effective. Nobody expects tyranny at Golden Meadows retirement community. Well, they might when I get in there. The sign out front literally says, we don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing, which takes on a whole new level of meaning when playing means following the arbitrary and cruel rules of Jenny Penn. So, who is Jenny Penn? Is it a person, a rule book, a philosophy? Well, I'm not spoiling that for you, but I will say that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones wearing cardigans and offering you a butterscotch candy while deciding who gets to see the doctor this month. But if slow psychological torture isn't terrifying enough for you, wait until you see what happens when dogs become the preferred species. Have you ever met those people who love their dogs more than humans? That's me, I love Flapjack. He hates when I do that, but like and subscribe because my dog's cute. Anyways, Fur Babies from VHS Beyond takes that concept and sprints straight into nightmare territory. And you thought your neighborhood who dresses their chihuahua in sweaters was weird. The segment starts with a group of animal rights activists investigating a woman called Becky who runs a doggy daycare called Doggy Dream House. Red flag number 1. She taxidermies her dead pets instead of burying them. These activists think that's cruel, so they send in 2 of their friends with a hidden camera on a decoy dog to spy on her. Becky seems sweet at first, just a slightly odd dog lady who really loves her furry friends. She explains she keeps the taxidermied pets because she can't bear to bury them. Aw, that's kind of sad, but understandable, right? Wrong. It's trap bait, and you just walked right into it. See, what they discover in her basement is pure nightmare fuel. Becky isn't just a dog lover. She's a psychotic, mad scientist who captures humans and surgically transforms them into dog hybrids. I'm not talking about cute little costume ears or becoming a furry. I'm talking full-on surgical grafting of bulldog jaws and paws onto human bodies. She literally cuts people open and sews dog parts onto them. But wait, it gets worse. She doesn't just modify their bodies. She conditions them psychologically to behave like dogs. These poor people are kept in crates, forced to walk on all fours, and trained to obey her commands. They're not just physically transformed, their humanity is systematically stripped away. Of course, our activist heroes get caught. Stuart and Angela become Becky's newest projects, and when their friends come to rescue them with baseball bats, because that's totally adequate against a house full of monstrous human-dog hybrids, they get attacked by the very creatures they came to save. What makes this scenario completely unsurvivable is just how normal it all looks from the outside. It's just a nice lady with a doggy daycare business. You'd walk right in with your resume if you were looking for a summer job. I love dogs, you'd say cheerfully, not realizing you're about to become one. Even if you suspected something was off, what would you do? Call the police and say there's this woman who might be turning people into dogs? They'd laugh and hang up. By the time anyone realized you were missing, you'd already be wearing a collar and eating from a bowl on the floor. The most disturbing part isn't even the body horror. It's how Becky genuinely believes she's improving these people. In her twisted mind, dogs are better than humans, so she's doing her victims a favor. She coos at them and pets them like they're her precious babies while they whimper in agony. I know some of you are thinking, I would fight back, I'd overpower her. Sure, tough guy, but Becky has the home field advantage. surgical tools, sedatives, and oh yeah, a pack of loyal human dog monsters who'll tear you apart on command. Your karate class at the YMCA isn't going to help you here, buddy. But if you think having dog parts sewn onto you is bad, wait until someone decides to completely steal your face. Face stealing might sound like a plot from a bad spy movie, but Grafted takes this to a whole new level of oh hell no. This movie follows Wei, a brilliant but socially awkward Chinese student with a facial birthmark who comes to New Zealand on a scholarship. Poor girl just wants to fit in and finish her dad's research on skin grafting. Spoiler alert, things do not go well. This movie really stuck out to me because I played Elden Ring a couple years ago. If you know anything about that game, there's this bad guy in it called Godric the Grafted, where his entire character arc is that he grafts body parts of dead people onto himself, which was like, I always thought it was like a really cool horror concept. So I love that they actually made a horror movie that uses this concept. Anyways, Wei lives with her aunt and her cousin Angela, who's basically the Regina George of New Zealand. Angela and her mean girl friends treat Wei like garbage, making fun of her birthmark and constantly reminding her that she doesn't belong there. We've all had that one relative who's a total jerk at family gatherings. You know the type I'm thinking about. You can probably picture one in your mind right now. But Angela takes that to championship levels. The only person who's nice to Wei is a homeless guy named John who also has facial disfigurements. Meanwhile, Wei is working on perfecting her dad's skin grafting serum, which is supposed to help with things like burns and scars, but her professor is secretly planning to steal her research because, you know, academics can be cutthroat. Everything goes sideways when Angela destroys Wei's family shrine during an argument. In the fight that follows, Wei accidentally kills Angela. Now, most people would call the police or at least hide the body, but Wei, nope, she decides the next logical step is to surgically remove her own face, take Angela's face and graft it onto herself using her experimental serum, as one typically does. The scariest part is this actually works. Wei becomes Angie and starts living her cousin's life, but that's just the beginning of her face collecting spree. When she finds out her professor stole her research with help from Angela's friend Eve, Wei kills Eve too and takes her face. Then she kills Angela's other friend and her boyfriend when they get suspicious. What makes this a zero chance survival scenario? Well, think about it. There's no monster to run from or demon to banish. The threat is literally other people wanting your face, and they look exactly like someone you trust. Your best friend shows up at your door, but surprise, it's actually Wei wearing your friend's face, and she's about to upgrade her look with yours. I love how some of you are probably thinking, well, I would notice it wasn't really my friend. Would you though? In the age of fillers, Botox, and Instagram filters, would you really notice slight differences in your friend's face? Hey Sarah, your nose bridge looks 2 millimeters higher today. Are you actually a psychotic face stealer? No, you just assume they got some work done, and you probably wouldn't tell them about it because, you know, social awkwardness. The movie gets even wilder when Wei confronts her professor, paralyzes him, and watches him die from the flawed serum that killed her father. During her escape attempt, the only remaining sample of her working serum gets smashed. And then the epilogue shows Wei's aunt encountering what appears to be Wei merged with the decaying corpse of homeless John, because apparently the movie wasn't disturbing enough already. So remember, next time your friend seems a little off, maybe they just had a bad day, or maybe they're wearing someone else's face. But if you think losing your face is bad, our final horror movie might be the worst fate of all. Saving the absolute worst for last, Stowaway from VHS Beyond shows us their fates way worse than death. This segment follows Haley, a woman so obsessed with UFOs that she's filming a documentary about them in the Mojave Desert. She even tapes over her daughter's birthday video to record her UFO hunt. Mother of the Year material right there. Against all odds, Haley actually finds a real alien spacecraft. Now, most of us would take a few pictures and then run the other way. But Haley, she goes inside because apparently she's never seen a single sci-fi movie in her entire life. Rule number 1, don't enter the mysterious alien craft. While exploring, she cuts her finger on something sharp. Immediately, tiny floating things, like microscopic robots or maybe alien germs, swarm her wound and heal it instantly. Cool party trick. Instead of thinking, maybe I should leave before something bad happens, she keeps exploring and documenting everything. She's so busy filming the inside of the ship and gawking at alien specimens, which are spiders, lizards, octopuses all in containers, that she doesn't notice the ship is about to take off. The doors close, engines fire up, and suddenly Haley is on an express ride to Nopeville, population her. Now comes the truly horrifying part. When the ship kicks into faster than light travel, or whatever alien go fast mode it uses, the forces literally tear Haley's unprotected human body apart. We're talking complete physical destruction. Game over, right? Oh, how I wish it was game over. Remember those healing nanobots that fixed her cut? Well, they activate again, trying to repair her completely shredded body. But here's the problem. They don't know what humans are supposed to look like. So using DNA from the animal specimens on board, they rebuild Haley as a horrific hybrid, merging her with spider-like features and who knows what else. Each healing is agonizingly painful, and when the forces tear her apart again, the cycle repeats. Tear apart, rebuild wrong. Tear apart, rebuild wrong. An endless loop of suffering. She can't die because the technology won't let her, but she's not really living either. She's just existing as a constantly mutating mass of flesh, trapped on an alien ship traveling through space forever. I know some of you smarty pants are thinking, well, I would never go into a strange spaceship. Are you sure though? Humans are curious creatures. If you spent your whole life obsessed with something and then finally found it, would you really just walk away? That's the scary thing about this scenario. It preys on our natural curiosity and then punishes it in the most brutal way possible. What makes Stowaway so disturbing isn't just the body horror or the idea of eternal suffering. It's that the technology causing all of this isn't evil. It's just indifferent. It's trying to help in its own alien way. The ship's systems don't hate Haley or want to torture her. They simply don't understand human biology and are following their programming to maintain life forms on board. The horror comes from the complete absence of malice. It's just cold, unfeeling alien tech doing what it's designed to do. So the next time you see strange lights in the sky, maybe don't investigate it. And if you do somehow find an alien spacecraft, definitely don't go inside, because unlike most horror scenarios where death is the worst outcome, Stowaway shows us that sometimes survival itself can be the real nightmare. So there you have it. Do you think you could survive any of these horror movie situations? I don't think you can, but if you really think you could, I want you to comment down below exactly how you'd survive each and every single one of the movies. And while you're on the way down there, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you can see more of my videos like this in the future. And if you want to watch one of those videos right now, there's a new one on screen right now for you to watch.